How we doing, folks? All right.
You said before the season that you saw more in Miles and you thought that he had still more left in him. Is this what you envisioned?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, every year that you go on with a dominant pass rusher, you expect the most from him. But I said it in the beginning when you watch him in the preseason, it was probably the most dominant preseason he's ever had. I mean, he didn't lose one-on-one rep, and that goes for the joint practices and our practices. And he had a singular focus on just dominating every play, and you saw that throughout the year. So I'm happy with what he's done and how he's developed. As a football player, you think you got all the answers, but you really don't. You never stop growing, and he's a testament to that. Like, that guy works so hard to continue to develop and be the most dominant defensive player that I think we've ever seen.
The film in this past game against the Titans, as a defensive line, what are some things that you want that group to correct against what's also a really good running team?
Yeah, I mean, hats off to the Titans. They had a good plan on one of the two of those runs, and they got out on us. We got a little loose on, as a defense as a whole. But for the most part, the guys were playing attack, and they were getting off blocks, and they were making plays. But it just goes to show, like, in this league, you can never fall asleep. And unfortunately, those two plays, we can't get those back. But the guys, they came in just ready to go, and they have their proud defensive line, their proud defense, and they know we got to correct what happened last week.
Miles is out there trying to get this sack record, and now you've got teams that are going to be determined to try to stop that from happening the way that the Titans did. What challenges does that present for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, every week guys are trying. Every team has an NFL, a Miles plan, right? I mean, he's the most dominant pass rusher in the NFL. So every week he's seeing chips, he's seeing guys coming from outside in, double teams, sometimes triple teams, and the biggest thing is the other guys have to continue to step up and make plays. There's going to be teams that are going to try and neutralize Miles, and he's going to do his best to try and get open and get his, like he did this past week. But other guys have to step up and make plays as well.
Do you feel he's the most dominant defensive player you've ever seen?
Me personally, yes. I mean, some people might disagree, but working with him up close now for 2 years and just seeing the type of athlete that he is with the size that he has and the strength and the explosive ability and the bend and the flexibility and the movement skills, there's no one that I can think of that can do some of the things that he does. He's routinely getting chipped from tight ends, backs. He's routinely getting the slide coming to him, a guard coming off and helping out. So, when you got that much attention for you every week and you still putting up the numbers that he's putting up, I mean, that's pretty special, And I may be biased, but yeah, I mean, I think he's the best defensive player I've ever seen.
So when you say that, just to clarify, I mean, LT is widely regarded as the greatest defender of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sort of saying that you think Miles has exceeded LT and has taken over the mantle of the...
I'm saying, me personally, with the person that I've worked with, I didn't work with LT, and I was a kid when LT was wrecking shop, okay, and I all the respect in the world for guys like LT, Bruce Smith, the Minister of Defense, Reggie White, there's Green from the LA Rams, Kevin Green. I got all the type of respect for these guys, but I wasn't around. I wasn't watching those guys up close every game, and I don't know how much chips they were getting and what teams were doing to try and stop them. I just know this from the 10 years that I was in the NFL as a player, the 6 years now as a coach, I haven't seen a more dominant football player than that.
Call come along, and obviously being pushed into a bigger role with the injuries and whatnot.
Yeah, Mike has done a good job of, first of all, getting back from injury and just working back into the lineup and doing all he can to try and contribute for the team. He's continually developing every day. He's working. We work together, individually. We watch film together. He comes out early in practice, stays a little later for walkthrough and things like that. So he's doing everything he can so he can continue to play like how he's been playing. Again, with everybody's attention on Miles and things happening with, with obviously Malik now being out, we need all those guys to continue to step up.
Time about your line being the engine of the defense and how what you guys do up front trickles back into the linebackers and the secondary. But for you, how do those players, how do the safeties, the corners, and the linebackers play maybe impact you guys and what they're able to do back there? How does that impact the line?
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about Russian coverage needs to work together, and our job is simple. We're out there to go just wreck shop, and penetrate, disrupt, rush our butts off as much as we can. If they're going to give us time, we're going to get home, and if things happen that where either we're not doing our job or they're not doing their job, we correct it. There's no finger pointing or anything like that. We're all about working together, and it's a tight-knit group. Those guys, we never think about anything about the score or anything like that. We just go out there and just play. And I haven't enjoyed the losses, but I've enjoyed working with this group of men. The character, the work ethic, and it all started in the spring with Jim Schwartz talking about hungry dogs run faster. Those guys really bought into that, and they've been working their butts off since OTA. So. We still got 4 more games to go. We still got a lot of work to do, and I think the guys, as I said before, they have a lot of pride, and they're going to come out here and put some work in.
Can you guys talk about all pitching in to make sure that Miles gets this sack record? It seems like a lot of the guys have been selfless about that. Grant talks about I'm going to hold up the quarterback and let Miles come over and get the sack,
Yeah.
which of course he tried to do in the past game. But
Right.
Alex Wright, it looked like he may have been eligible for half a sack in the past game, but
Okay.
he willingly gave that up. So is this a group effort? And then how do you feel about everybody pitching in like that?
Yeah, everybody. We laugh in the room that anybody that's close to getting a sack, they better give it to Miles. But no, I mean the guys really appreciate playing alongside him. And you can see it, they're all happy for him when he gets sacks. And they're all working together. I mean, everybody wants to get on, right? Everybody wants to rush with Miles. Everybody wants to get out there on third down and get their opportunities. But we know that, 4 equals 1. Miles can't do what he's doing unless everybody else is working to collapse the pocket, squeeze the pocket, and help flush the quarterback either to Miles or step up so Miles can come underneath, or one of those other guys gets sacked. So it's not something where everybody's like, hey, hold the quarterback up for Miles. They're all trying to get sacks too. It's just that, we know Miles is going to win. We know he's going to win. Who else is going to win? Who else is going to win their one-on-one matchup or push the pocket enough where somebody gets a sack, not just Miles?
How would you describe Mason's rookie season and how the development? I know he thinks he's been playing better lately. What have you seen out of him?
Yeah, thank God. When that kid first showed up, and I think we all saw him. We saw that picture of him throwing up, eating too much and throwing up and stuff. And I talk about just how he responds. He works so hard. I don't think people realize just how hard that guy works and how detailed he is in his rush plan and how smart he is. You watch him before the games. He's calling out where all the runs are going every single play. And he has a good relationship with Carson. He does a great job at the point of attack, away from the point of attack. He can skinny through all the trash to close and make a play on a running back. So, that kid, probably, I'm biased again, one of my favorite draft picks ever because he just works. He doesn't care about getting any type of recognition whatsoever. He doesn't care about getting stats. He just wants to win, and he wants everybody else to play well. And I'm happy that we have that guy. He's done a heck of a job. He's going to be a great pro for a long time, and I think he's just scratching the surface of his potential.
What's it been like just working with Jim this season, and as the wins haven't come, just his attitude and the way he, it seems like it rubs off on the whole defense to still be one of the top units.
Yeah, Jim has been a great leader, and the thing about him is he just keeps the energy up. It's about energy. It's about having swag. It's about continuing to believe in each other, believing in not only each other but yourself. And even we haven't been perfect this year, right? But again, Jim he always lets us know like, hey, we're this close to getting what we want. You know, it's a gap here, a missed tackle here, or a misfit here, but we are a really good dominating defense. You know, because of his leadership and all the guys buying into what he wants to get done.
Going back to Miles and just how dominant he's been, Jim actually said a couple weeks ago that you'd be hard pressed to find anybody who's more valuable in this league than Miles, kind of alluding to him being an MVP candidate.
Mm-hmm.
We know that award has become such a quarterback-driven award at this point.
Right.
What do you think it would take for like an edge rusher or a defensive player to actually bring that award home? And do you think Miles is maybe making the best case that we've seen for that?
I definitely think he's making a case for that. I told him, hey, look, man, let's leave no doubt. Get 30 sacks, all right? He's like, the record's 23, and I'm like, leave no doubt. Just keep being dominant. And honestly, he's not really thinking about things like that. He's thinking about just every day, every week, he wants to get a win. And whatever that takes, if it takes him getting 5 sacks, if it takes him getting 1 sack, if it takes him setting up a player, another player setting him up, he just wants to get a win. I want to get a win too, but I also want him to get sacks because he deserves it. He works hard for it. So, it is what it is with that award. I think, if there's a defensive player that is breaking records, that is routinely getting double and triple teamed and is making offensive coordinators lose sleep at night, I think he presents a good case for winning that award.
We always hear that it's not always all about the sacks. It's not about the sacks.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone obviously praises his tackles for loss and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But why is it in the end really all about the sacks?
Well, the most important position on an offense is what? Quarterback. Okay, so if you're getting the quarterback down and you're hitting the quarterback and you're chasing the quarterback and you're keeping him off schedule and you're pressuring him every play, that messes up an offense. So I think, with getting sacks and getting to the quarterback and making that quarterback look at the rush and not look at the coverage, I mean, that's why those things are important. I try not to put a big emphasis on sacks. More, hey, let's get pressure on the quarterback, get him down on the ground, keep hitting him. But the sacks, that's what gets your name in the paper. Sacks and TFLs, and Miles is closing on another record, all-time TFL record in the NFL too. So, and he don't even talk about that. He's improved his run defense so much since I've been here. The way he's rushing is amazing, and I just, it's a special year for him as far as statistically. I know he wants to get wins and play in the playoffs and things like that, but you can't just overlook just what he's done this whole entire year.